This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Okay, Ali, so today we're going to play a game called Planet or Pixel. So I'm just going to tell you a word and you want to tell me if it reminds you more of a planet or a pixel.
Okay.
Nebula.
Planet.
Code.
Pixel.
Orbit.
Planet.
Land.
Pixel.
Flux.
Planet.
Widget.
Pixel.
Comet.
Pixel.
Script.
Oh, sorry. Planet. Sorry. I thought you said comment.
Or comet, like a comet. Okay, yeah. Script.
Pixel.
And last one. Big orange planet.
Planet Pixel.
Oh, I love that. I love that for you. Guys, welcome to Fully Managed. You guys heard it. We are here with Lennon from Big Orange Planet, which is why I was asking him if the words reminded him of a planet or a pixel. Welcome, Ali. How are you doing? I'm very excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is my first ever podcast, as I've told you, Daniela. So I hope to excel for the Big Orange Planet.
I'm really happy to have you. I'm really honored that I get to be the first person that you film with. Welcome to Fully Managed. Guys, you know what the drill is. We talk about marketing, we talk about business, all of the tips that you need to assist you guys in your business journeys. And you know me, the host, Daniela, Penji's partnership coordinator. And now you know the guest, Lennon and Big Orange Planet. We have a great conversation planned today. But to get the ball rolling, break the ice a little bit, can you tell us about yourself, what we got to know, everything that is necessary?
Yeah, well, I'll give you the hurry up offense, if I will. So myself and my wife started Big Orange Planet over 20 years ago, which in web time is about 2,000 years roughly. When we started it, my wife was living in the UK. I was working for Comcast as a network technician. We were working on a long distance relationship. She'd taken a web course. I wanted to get out of corporate America, so we decided to form a design company, primarily focused on web. At the time, we really didn't know much about what we were doing. My wife had taken a course in Flash. You remember Flash? By Macro Media at the time. Obviously, is now Adobe. So we kind of evolved and started making Flash websites, and then doing logos, business cards, brands, etc. Eventually, as you're probably aware, the phone appeared. And Flash slowly but surely went away because Flash depended on the mouse. So then we had to evolve again and get more into HTML, which makes sense more also from a SEO perspective, a phone perspective, obviously. And we since have been creating sites in WordPress. We also have our own content management system that we're international partner in. That's the hurry up offense that I've got right now. So right now we're still here and we're, dealing with one type of client after another. We don't pigeonhole ourselves. We just like to make cool stuff.
I love that. I love talking to people who have been in the industry for a long time because I feel like you've been able to witness a lot of changes as technology progresses and the kind of life moves on. And I always love getting perspectives for people like this. And I'm excited to ask you all the stuff that I have planned. But the first question that I have is the name, Big Orange Planet. What does it represent? Is there a story behind it, or did you just kind of like randomly come up with it on a Tuesday?
There is actually a story behind it. My wife, like a lot of creative folks, is heavily dyslexic. I've noticed that throughout the years. I can actually spot a dyslexic person just by working with them or even talking to them. And they're always kind of surprised. And the reason is because I know how dyslexia manifests. So for some reason, my wife, Sarah, who's our creative director to this day, her personal email account was at the time bigorangeplanet@yahoo.com. Remember Yahoo? Maybe some back in the day. So we were actually out in a bar with some friends of ours, and we were brainstorming names for a company that we were just about to start. And I kept coming up with stuff that sounded like a Thai restaurant, like Golden Carp and stuff like this. So one of my friends said, "What about Sarah's email address, which was bigorangeplanet@yahoo, because she could somehow consistently spell it correctly." So that's how the name Big Orange Planet came about. So there is a story behind it. Kind of bogus, but it's true.
Kind of sweet. I think it's really sweet. Especially because it was, something like very personal to your wife. I like it. I don't think it's bogus. Um, I'm curious though, because you started this a while back. And obviously you mentioned how you were, transitioned from Flash because it kind of went away. With all of the changes that have been happening, the mission or kind of the purpose or what you guys had set out to do initially, how has that actually evolved from like when you launched the company towards how it is now?
Oh, definitely very much so. Obviously when we got in, we started making, sites for mom and pop, shall we say, when you start a company from, with really no investment, you take whatever you can get. I think our first website might have been $500 or something of that nature. I don't remember exactly. I choose to forget it actually. Then we sort of went through an evolution. We hooked up with my business. I have a business partner in Romania. That's where the backbone of our code evolved. We've been friends like brothers for 20 years now, business partners, and we still have never actually physically met, which is kind of odd. I've tried to go to Romania on a few occasions, but we're European, as you can probably tell from my accent. And when we do go, we have to go to Ireland and England and sometimes Italy, and getting to Romania is a bit of a problem because it's another big journey. Did I answer the question adequately or?
It was perfect. I think it totally makes sense. And I'm also curious because now that we're, going into web design and how much it has changed over the years, with all of the DIY options that have sort of popped up in the recent years, what do you think actually is making websites great or interesting or worthwhile?
That's a very good question. There's so many different ways to make a website now, as you said. I mean, anybody who has half a brain can, get on Wix, give them $10 a month or whatever it costs. And,
Space too, right?
right here, and there are many, many, many others, Weebly and co. So you can theoretically, make a passable website. The thing though, there's a couple of different factors that go into the problems with that. A, it looks like you made it yourself, or your son, who's 14 years old, made it. So it doesn't give the professional allure, shall we say. And then when it comes to more complicated back-end type functionality, like subscriptions or a shopping cart or user accounts and so forth, then those types of builders obviously fall down because they're not geared to accommodate it. So I would say well, first of all, everything has to be mobile responsive, obviously, and most of those builders do. But the difference as a sort of reputable company looking to upgrade their site, or even some of them that don't even have sites, even though they've been around for 10, 15 years, the sort of difference for them would be not cheaping out, not having someone in the company do it for pennies on the dollar, i.e. hiring a professional.
I think a big thing is, I believe that these type of website builders are going to take you so far, but like you said, complex, and more intricate stuff, is harder. And I think kind of you can build a website, but then having that website convert, into whatever it is that you're aiming for it to do is the hardest part, which actually leads me to the question that I also have, which is, what do you think are the misconceptions that businesses and just in general people tend to have when they're building a website that is going to actually convert?
Absolutely. We called it the build it and they will come theory. And of course, that doesn't exist. There are hundreds of billions of websites, from what I understand, on the web right now. You can build anything you want. It's not going to put it in Google's eyes or Bing's eyes or even Yahoo's eyes, if anybody still uses Yahoo. The conversion aspect will come in when people actually find your website and when people find it useful. So first of all, they got to find it, and then they got to get value, whether it be a transaction, whether it be finding information about your company, whether it be one thing we talk a lot about is credibility. So informational type websites that are effectively an online brochure, that they need to be credible in the same way that if you were to give a printed brochure of your company or entity, in the hands of a potential client or whoever, you want that level of credibility, professional looking design, and finishing.
Yeah, I think as a user, I'm looking for functionality versus, easy access to actionable things, especially if it's like a shopping website. Like I hate going into websites that are so cluttered and difficult, and then or with a lot of pop up
Yeah.
and apps as well. I remember, like I feel like Temu has had a really big surge lately. Um,
Timo.
Yeah,
Right.
people have been shopping on Temu a lot, and I tried the app and I tried the website, and I hate it. Like, I know that there's a lot of stuff that you can buy, but I feel like the website is so just I don't like it. It's so cluttered. It's got so many pop-up ads coming up when you're just trying to like browse or something. It's
Sorry,
overwhelming.
I'm not actually familiar with Temu. Is that kind of a new like online store, like say Alibaba or
Yeah,
Shine,
it's an
more on
online
work
store
around?
like that. Yeah, it's called Temu. It's Chinese.
I figured.
And I will say like it's obviously like a cultural thing because I do think that China and like that the website design that they have is very much like very similar to what they would usually have. But I just like as a user really feel stressed when I see it because it's a type of website like that, like eBay or any of these where, just like you get a lot of pop-up ads that are like 20% discount, like come and play this Russian roulette and see what you got. And it's like, I
Yeah,
feel like it's overwhelming when you're just trying to like
you
browse.
should do your thing because pretty much everybody uses the web in the same way. Get in, get what you want, and get out.
Yeah. And then,
And then you start having to click X's to, click out of, like you said, an ad or a red wheel or what have you. It's just annoying, and it's more likely to actually get you to go somewhere else. It's like I find this website so annoying that I'm just out of here and I'm going to Shine or I'm going, wherever.
yeah. It's similar to Amazon. I would say it's like a direct competitor to Amazon right now.
Okay.
That's the type of website that they are. But I just like remembered because of the experience that I have in terms of the website, outside of like the shopping, because I actually never bought anything there. But I browsed and it stops me from wanting to buy because I get annoyed at just the existence of it. Um, but actually, it poses a really great question that I wanted to ask you, which is, I think when you're building a website, it's so hard to find a balance between creative design and functionality and technical stuff and purpose. How do you actually approach that topic when you're thinking about the goals of your website that are going to make it functional? It's going to be easy, but it's also, pleasing to look at, because like the aesthetic is a very big part of a website. People look at it with their eyes, and then if it's like attention grabbing, you're gonna want to like see more. But also you
Um,
want something simple. How do you mix those things?
yeah, it's the blend of form and function in effect, which is exactly what you're saying. If the form looks bad, then you're going to bounce. The bounce is just when you click on a website and you just leave. If the function doesn't work, you're going to bounce, but a little bit slower. So I think it comes down to experience, and also we spend a lot of time looking at, websites made by other people. Recent websites is like, here is something good. Here's, for example, if a prospective client comes up and let's say they're a steel manufacturer, we would encourage them, and we would also look at, for example, a few different websites of steel manufacturers. Not that it's a good starting point, but it's like, okay, who does it well? Who does it badly? Obviously, you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into, oh, it's got to look like a steel manufacturer. The other guy's the good one. You can look at furniture manufacturers and so on and so forth. But we are always seeking inspiration. The web changes really rapidly all the time, and the pace of acceleration increases exponentially. So, what worked last year is not necessarily what works this year if you're building a site for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the progression of technology, especially with internet related stuff, is insane right now. It getting faster and more all the time, like you said, which actually it makes you curious, with AI being like the big thing right now, has that impacted web design in how you guys approach it, how your clients approach it, in any shape or form? I feel like I see more AI bot being added. I know that more AI processes are being added into different platforms and different programs. But I'm curious to hear from, the experts.
No, that's a very good question. I would compare the rise of AI to the rise of WordPress templating. So when we started, it was a case of, either Flash or hand coded in HTML. WordPress didn't exist back then. AI is obviously recently come on the scene. I think of AI as the same kind of deal as WordPress templates, in that you don't necessarily have to be a good designer. You can be an adequate designer, and you can get something that will get you some money, shall we say, because the tools are there and you just have to drop stuff into boxes and update text, so forth. We haven't really gotten into AI as yet. We have our processes, and we tend to custom build more because we make really complex stuff. That said, as AI evolves, it's going to become necessary for us to think about it more and more and learn about it, its capabilities and its failings as we go forward.
Yeah, I think that's kind of true for everybody in every industry. Like, even if right now you're not getting affected or you can work without it, eventually we're going to have to be a little bit familiar with it
Yes.
if the growth continues to be exponential. And I'm also like, here's a question that I have that is very kind of, I'm always curious about this when I talk to people who offer a specific type of service. So you guys do, like, obviously you do a lot of web design for other companies. Um, I talked to someone who told me that they did really great marketing. Like, they were a marketing agency. They told me, like, I do amazing marketing campaigns for other people, but I forget to do my own. Or like, she feels like, like our company's marketing is not the best. And they know it because they offer the service. Do you find that to happen? Like, do you feel like it's different for you, or you feel like I have to have a website in tip-top shape, and in order to offer my service to other people? Or do you feel like it falls into the back burner, and then you have amazing projects for others, and then your website kind of gets forgotten? I'm
Um,
perspective.
no, again, a good question. I think we are what we make. So to give you some perspective, Daniela, I believe the current version of Big Orange Planet is version 7 in the last 21 odd years. If you were to go back to the Wayback Machine, you'd see some truly horrendous stuff, as we evolved. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about the Wayback Machine, but once you find it, you can never forget it. I did once go back to my elderly mum's house in Ireland, and I found our very first website on her, because she'd never deleted her cache, right? So this is 12 years later, and she's still got her very first website on there. And that was slightly embarrassing. So I do think, we have to put our best foot forward, as in, why would anybody give us the credibility if we don't look good, and if our side isn't built correctly? I do see here in the Denver market, where we exist. Obviously, we don't necessarily have to deal with Denver folks, but a lot of our clients tend to come from the metro area, which is 2 million people odd, roughly, extended Denver. You've got to put your own best foot forward. And we do see a lot of web design folks whose own sites we think are subpar. By the same token, from a marketing perspective, one of the big things we offer is SEO. And from that perspective, if we're not at the top of Google, then I feel to me, it's the same as not as having a substandard website for ourselves.
Yeah, because I feel like with your service, I would also feel it would make sense that you would want to make sure that, like, you show them that you are doing amazing, so that they also know that you're going to do amazing for them. Right?
That's correct. Yep. And, that's what we sort of put in our proposals, especially from an SEO perspective. It's just like, don't let me do the talking. Why don't you try searching for Denver web design companies type searches? Then that will give you sort of some credence, if that's the right word, or some belief in the fact that we can do the same for you. Obviously, you're not a web design company, but whatever sort of business you're in.
I'm curious to ask now, like, more as we get more into the client relationships. I feel like at Penji, we do a similar service. We offer graphic design services. And I think we get a wide variety of clients who are have a different amount of knowledge in design. And obviously that affects how, like, the service works or not. I would say more like it affects their experience, in the sense that if they know less, they need a little bit more help in, like, okay, this is what you want to do. We do have UX UI. So, like, like, it's a different process when you're doing websites than if you're doing like a logo or something.
Yep.
And I think it's, you kind of have to sort of be figuring out how you talk to these different clients, how you explain things to them. A lot of times the client themselves doesn't know what they want. They have a big idea.
Yep.
They don't really know how to, like, how to get there, or they don't know what it takes to have that. And you kind of have to, like, hold their hand a little bit and be like, well, you're asking for this and that. I imagine you guys go through a similar process.
Oh, I think everybody does. Or, all designers. Comments like, make it pop. Or, actually, I kind of like blue. Or, stuff of that nature. Happens all the time. I think, and it does come with sort of experience, as in how to deal with that, because you've dealt with it before. Some people have some sort of idea. Some people have a fixed idea that might be really not ideal for them from our perspective. And then it's a case of, trying to put your
Valid point.
stamp on what you think they need.
Yeah.
Because we're not designing for our own egos. The end result is supposed to be a successful project for the client. But in a lot of cases, the client, as you said, just doesn't know what they want. But somebody in there might have some sort of fixed idea regarding some aspect, whether it be a color or messaging or what have you. Then it's a case of, okay, how can we incorporate that, or how can we persuade them that maybe it's not such a good idea, or, whatever you deem is appropriate. And this is all down to experience.
Do you have people who have come to you looking for like rebrands or like websites overhauls? And it's like a whole ordeal because they're trying to do a big change.
Um, yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes we'll get people who've had the same website for 10 plus years and, it no longer even necessarily functions, and maybe their web host is threatening to kick them off the server because their version of PHP is ancient, or, these things happen more often than people realize, that web hosts will just like upgrade or you're out of here. And they tend to give you quite a low time frame to do that once they decide to upgrade their server. But to go back to the direct question, yes, it happens all the time, and sometimes people have, well, I kind of want it to look like the old site, for example, and it's like, well, why? Why do you want it to look like the old site? The old site is not something you want to look like, I mean, it's got to fit, if you have an existing brand and say you have a logo that's on trucks and t-shirts and, stuff like that, obviously you can't do a full rebrand at that point, but you gotta rebrand the website into whatever existing brand there is, if they're not doing a full rebrand of everything.
I mean, I think like, just like, even if you're not doing the rebrand of a logo, you still want to always keep things fresh and updated and up to what your market is going to be. I also think if you have a market that's young, you have to consider that the young people they're always changing, right? Like the youth that you have been working with for the last 5 years is going to be different than the youth that you work with in those other 5 years, because generational changes happen. Or even if it's an audience, I think, that is older, people go through different stages in their lives and then they change based on what that stage looks like. So you still kind of have to reflect your business into that a lifestyle, I think.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. And we change, they change, everybody changes. Yeah, it's just a case of, from our perspective, it's like, okay, what's cutting edge? I know cutting edge is one of those overused phrases, but it does sort of describe what we're talking about, as in what's on the cusp right now of what's really good. And then how do we adapt that to, what fits with your guys' business, specifically, and what existing brand you have or what rebrand you may want to institute, website aside.
And you really want to be ahead of the curve. I know that like you said, maybe it's like an overused term, but it is true. You want to always kind of be at the forefront of what change is going to happen, and how that's going to affect you. Which I think what really stood out to me with your guys' work, is that when I was doing research and everything, I noticed that you don't work with a specific type of industry. You touched upon this a little bit at the beginning. There's, like website companies that usually they niche down to, I'd seen some of them niche down to specific industries. Like I saw one time one that was doing like strictly makeup, beauty, like styling. And that was their specialties. And they knew how to build websites for companies in that industry. I've seen people who do it for like real estate, et cetera, et cetera. But you guys don't, right? You said this at the beginning, you haven't sort of like boxed yourself into a specific type of industry that you build for. You kind of just anybody that wants it and is willing to pay is pretty much you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What makes it
uh,
here? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Although, yeah, and we've never pigeonholed ourselves. However, one type of client tends to lead to another client in the same sphere. Like, for example, quite a few years ago, when there was an oil boom happening, all of a sudden we did one site for a big oil company. And next thing, all the Denver oil companies, because it's a big, oil sort of central hub, if you will, all of them started contacting us. So obviously we weren't going to say no. Um, so we're not sort of concentrating on it, but it tends to find you. We've always had a lot of artistic type folks, like we've had a lot of interior designers, photographers, folks like that who understand the difference between good design and average design, or however you want to phrase that one.
No, yeah, I know that you guys have had, that totally makes sense. But the question that I wanted to ask was because I saw that you guys had like a high heel website, that you had on your website. And then
Oh, yes.
and then I
Yeah, that
saw,
was a strange one.
yeah, that was, I mean, and then I saw one that had like, that was like for soccer balls or something.
Oh,
I,
yeah. Yep. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
and I
Um,
mean, there's such stark different
I've
things.
heard.
And I mean, I was like, wow, like, and then I clicked into the websites and I went in and I was like, they're so different too, because obviously they're different industries, different clients that you're appealing to. But it made me ask, it made me question, how do you actually figure out, or how do you work with such a wide range of people? Because I imagine the high heel company was looking for something so different than the ball company. How
Correct.
do you tailor that approach to like all of this wide range of people? And then you just mentioned an oil company that's so different to these two industries.
Yep. Um, well, one of the primary ways is that we kind of assign different designers based on who we think suits a particular project. Because obviously different designers have their own fundamental style. They adapt, and, as they grow from a career trajectory, they get better and they evolve, etc. But nonetheless, designers will put kind of their own stamp on things one way or another, I believe. So when we sort of get, such massively divergent projects as you've just mentioned, first thing is it's like, okay, who's designing this, and what sort of look are we going for, in this case. Um, but yeah, those are two really good examples. I can't think of really two websites that are further apart in design and overall goals and specifics. But yeah, definitely two different designers in those cases for sure.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I was just really curious. I because like I remember the high heel design was so like stood out to me.
Okay. No, I know. It's
I
not
mean,
here.
yeah, with with the feet, like the I remember it. So it was a really, it stood out to me, and I really wanted to ask you about it. But we're unfortunately running out of time, Ali. But I think it's a great note to end on. It's been so great to have you on the podcast. Before we finish it, I do want to give you the space to promote anything, plug anything. If what we spoke about resonated with someone in our audience, they want to work with you, they want websites, they want to find you, talk to you, the floor is yours.
Okay. Didn't expect this one, but so what I believe is we've done this a very long time, and we've always loved what we do. We really enjoy what we do. We're associated with some very talented people that work for us, or subcontractors, etc. We like to get it done, and we like to get it done properly, and we're continually evolving. We do think we're a notch or two above the what's a crowded marketplace, and we have the time spent doing this, and the wisdom that comes with experience to back up whatever we say we're going to do.
Awesome. I will be adding the links to your website and your LinkedIn to the subscriptions videos so that people can easily access them and find you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ali, for being on the podcast.
Okay.
It's a great experience. And everybody else, I will see you on the next episode.
Okay. Thanks, Daniela. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.